Kara just got here, so I was putting it on for a little bit. Is there a comment here? Told her, so she didn't know how it worked. You're just gonna. Well, I mean, I saw you. So, no. We can't start before, we can start after, so. Well, good evening and welcome to your town hall. Having reached the hour of 6, I'll call to order this meeting of the Sahuarita Town Council, and as always, inform everyone that tonight's meeting will be broadcast live and can also be watched after the fact. Tonight's invocation will be given by Councilmember Diane Priolo, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by three of our gentlemen with Adventures with Friends, Tim Grabowski, Ryan Bond, and Joshua Thomas. And before Councilmember Priolo mentions the invocation, just please keep Officer Buckner, this is tough, in your thoughts. I went to the memorial service, 31 years old, married just a couple of years, and it was a somber service, but, you know, when we do pray, please think of our first responders who are out there every day protecting us at this time. Councilmember?
Come, Holy Spirit, come. You are welcome here, Lord. In Isaiah 9:6, your word says, "For a child is born to us, a son is given to us. The government will rest on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace." Father God, let your word sink into our hearts and minds. The government rests on the shoulders of your Son, Jesus. Open the eyes of our heart, Lord. Shine your truth into the darkness. Help us strive to do what is good, pleasing, and beautiful in your eyes, and not the eyes of this world. Grant us the courage and the grace to do so. For it is written in Psalm 33:12, "Blessed and prosperous is the nation who has God as their Lord." All glory to God. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Tim, Ryan, Joshua, you want to come up to the podium?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks. Good job.
Nice.
Madam Clerk, I'll have a roll, please.
Councilmember Bracco.
Here.
Councilmember Davis.
Hip.
Councilmember Gillespie.
He's here. I
Councilmember
think
Gillespie.
Councilmember Gillespie's here.
I'm here.
Councilmember Morales. Councilmember Priolo.
Here.
Vice Mayor Egbert. Here. Mayor Murphy.
Here.
Quorum present.
Thank you. Tonight we have two presentations, proclamations. First, I'll present a proclamation declaring April 6th through April 12th, the Week of the Young Child. to Abdel Rahim Sakri, a member-at-large of the Southern Arizona Association for the Education of Young Children. If Mr. Sakri can join me up at the podium. Whereas all of Arizona's children deserve a quality early care and education environments, ECE. Whereas quality child care program build children's lifelong learning skills during critical years from birth to age 5. And whereas ECE teachers and child care providers are the essential workforce that helps build Arizona parents to get to work or school. And whereas funding quality child care is a wise investment that improves family well-being, strengthening communities, and grows our state's prosperity. And whereas, first things first, Southern Arizona Association for the Education of Young Children, Arizona Association for the Education of Young Children, and other community organizations in conjunction with the National Association of Education for Young Children are celebrating the 53rd anniversary of the Week of the Young Child. And whereas these organizations are working to improve equitable early childhood opportunities that provide a strong start for children in Sahuarita. And whereas public policies that supports ECE for Arizona's youngest learners help our families, communities, and the economy thrive. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Tom Murphy, the mayor of the town of Sahuarita, on behalf of the town council, do hereby proclaim April 6th through April 12th, 2024 as the Week of the Young Child. In testimony I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of the town of Sahuarita on this 8th day of April, 2024. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, just like quick stuff like. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. And this is like a perfect week, kind of like put the focus on early childhood education and to give the opportunity to all the children 0 to 5 to give them the best that we can, early childhood educators. And this is, I'm thankful to do the work that I do, and I'm thankful for all of you who support the early childhood education programs. The brain develops at an early age, so those first few years in a child's life are very important. It's a lasting impact. So thank you for everyone who supports the early childhood education students, programs, and families. So thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate it.
Will Devin and Aaron, who is one of our Park and Rec commissioners, please join me? Whereas April 2024 will be the 16th year since the United Nations General Assembly unanimously declared April 2nd as World Autism Awareness Day to highlight the need and to improve the quality of life of those with autism so that they can lead a full, meaningful lives as an integral part of our society. And whereas autism or autism spectrum disorder, ASD, refers to a broad range of conditions characterized by challenges with social skills, repetitive behaviors, speech, and nonverbal communication. And whereas 1 in 36 children and 1 in 45 adults in the United States have autism, and whereas according to the CDC Autism and Developmental Disabilities Monitoring Network, Arizona children aligned with the national statistics where 1 in 36, or 2.7% of 8-year-old children have been identified with ASD in 2020. And whereas public institutions throughout Arizona joined this worldwide effort to raise awareness on autism by declaring April as Autism Awareness Month. And whereas the town of Sahuarita is dedicated to being a vibrant, innovative, and diverse community that creates an outstanding quality of life for all. Whereas as captured in the Aspire 2025 General Plan, the town of Sahuarita strives to provide an appropriate variety of services and programs that meet the needs of the entire town, including residents of all ages and abilities. Whereas the Park and Recs Department has recently established autism awareness as a priority item being considered in 2 playground installations at NMX Park and Park Los Royos, and being recognized nationally as demonstration sites for inclusive play for all. And whereas public institutions throughout Arizona join this worldwide effort to raise awareness on autism by declaring April as Autism Awareness Month. Now therefore it be resolved that I, Tom Murphy, the mayor of the town of Sahuarita, on behalf of the town council, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2024 is Autism Awareness Month. In testimony whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of the town of Sahuarita on this 8th day of April 2024. Thank you, Devin. Thank you, Aaron.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, thank you so much. We have guests with us tonight. I'm happy to introduce our Parks and Rec Commission Chair, Aaron Thomas, to have a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Murphy, Vice Mayor Kara Egbert, and town council members for allowing us to be here tonight. I think it's really important that over the past few years, well, quite a long time now since I've been on Parks and Rec, and before that we've been opening up our community to open up for all ages and all abilities. And so it has been like such a blessing to be able to be part of this community and to see how we're trying to enrich the lives of community members of all, to make sure that everybody is included in our community. So it's very touching as a parent, as a special education teacher, and even I'm a scout leader, and I'm seeing it in all areas of our town. So I really appreciate that. And I want to recognize some people who are really supportive have been over the past few, years. Jamie Como, she started the Sahuarita Green Valley Family Support Network 12 years ago, or a long time ago. And yeah, and so every month they hold events at the Rancho Clubhouse every month in those years. So for our community members with special needs, and for every month to be doing that, it's a big task. And with dances, and prom is coming up, and Easter Bunny, and egg hunt. So it's a lot of heartfelt work. And so I just want to say how much I appreciate it and all your hard work. Also, Adventures with Friends have been here. It's an adult community program with Penny Grabowski. She's the director, and for the past 5 years for our adults as well. And so I wanted to say how much your hard work has really helped our community of members, our community members with special needs. And then Brenda's been, she is from DDD, and she has been working with special needs people since 1998. And so there's our community, we have a lot of support, and our special education teachers, Kathy Weaver's here, so as you know, there's a lot of great support in our town of Sahuarita. And there's a lot of great things coming up as well, so, and very excited. So I just want to say thank you, and thank you to our community for opening your hearts and our community to make sure that our community, town of Sahuarita, is inclusive and includes all. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we come to item number 6, call to the public. We still provide the option for a spokesperson to speak on behalf of a group. Some individuals have inquired about the possibility of a group transferring their comment time to another speaker. I'm willing to grant that with the opportunity to speak for a maximum of 10 minutes on behalf of a group of 10, or more individuals present at this meeting. If you're acting as spokesperson, kindly indicate by checking the designated checkbox on the speaker card. When the spokesperson name is called, I will also request that the group be represented to stand. With that said, I'd like to extend an invitation to any member of the public to address the town council regarding any topic listed on tonight's consent agenda or any issue which the town council can lawfully act upon, permitted to act upon in the future. As per the Arizona open meeting laws, the council cannot discuss these matters. However, individual council members may respond to criticism made by the speakers, request staff to review the matter, or propose adding to a future agenda. And I'll begin with Victor Gonzalez, one of our own staff members that wanted to share some good news.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Victor Gonzalez, Economic Development Director for the town of Sahuarita. Just wanted to make you aware that we received an award, the 2023 Tucson American Advertising Award for the Strategic Plan Update, which is a publication that New Point developed for us. As a reminder, the Strategic Plan is a document that you can find online in the town manager's portion of the website. The strategic plan lays out what is our mission statement, which you can see on the wall, but also identifies 5 important and focus areas for the town: economic development and placemaking, infrastructure, outreach and communication, organizational effectiveness, and community well-being. And so we're very proud of this document that guides our decision at the strategic level. And so we were recognized by the American Advertising Awards for the production of this document. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. Rick Corrado?
Honorable Mayor Murphy, distinguished members of the City Council, and town staff. Odor, the hidden problem. Odor is a nuisance formulated by and is indicative of the presence of volatile organic and inorganic compounds, VOCs. Just because odor is not regulated by the state does not mean it is harmless or that it does not present as a health issue. A similar analogy with which everyone is familiar is cigarette smoke. Cigarette smoke has been researched and its effects have been made very clear to the public over the last 50 years. We were told that cigarette smoking was harmless, and we continued to believe this until research became knowledge and knowledge became wisdom. Cigarettes create an odor that is easily identified. The odor of smoke signifies the presence of these volatile organic compounds. 3 such byproducts of a smoking cigarette and hot mix asphalt plants are benzene, toluene, and carbon monoxide. Benzene and toluene are known carcinogens. Constant exposure to toluene and benzene, no matter the amount or the source, is a health issue. Secondary exposure to the mere presence of cigarette smoke in the air is enough to cause serious health problems and even death. The contaminants from an asphalt plant will be in the air, and you will merely need to breathe. Remember again, we were advised early on by another large corporate entity that smoking was safe. We were only to be informed years later of the deceit and negligence for profit. So I ask, what is the difference? Benzene is benzene, no matter the source or the amount. Toluene is toluene, no matter the source or the amount. Is it safe to be exposed to and to breathe these volatile organic compounds daily? Simply because Vulcan, another large corporate entity, states that their provided air study and statistics indicate safety, do you believe them? I don't either. One wonders, given the data online regarding their given track record of conditional and mitigated violations through the years, resulting in millions of dollars in fines. Defiance in the face of mitigated compliance cannot be condoned. Reviewing the last town council study session several times online, it became apparent that odor is a significant telltale sign. It must be eliminated. Volatile organic compounds create odors that can be readily, It must be eliminated. Volatile organic compounds create odors that can be deadly. The quality of life for the entire community is at stake. From a strict health standpoint alone, the decision to deny a conditional use permit is all but evident. Odors are a nuisance. Odors are a health issue. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for being here. Condi Roy?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mayor Murphy and council members. My name is Candy Roy. My husband and I came to this community 25 years ago. At that time, there were 225 homes in Quail Creek. We have watched Quail Creek and Sahuarita grow incredibly. If you're not familiar with the term ecotourism, I would like to acquaint you with it. It basically means conserving the environment and sustaining the well-being of the local people. Why do I bring that up? I do because the Santa Cruz Valley has become a home and a highway to many people for hundreds of years. The valley continues to attract thousands of people with its warm, dry climate, natural beauty, rich culture, and history. It is a prime example of successful ecotourism. A question I ask: why would you take this away from us? I volunteer in Tubac 2 days a week, and I meet tourists as well as residents from all over the world. They're always excited to find a place so tranquil and mystical. We need sustainable practices that protect our air, land, and water, and support a high quality of life for all. Many of us came here after the mining started, so we cannot complain about previous industry. Now, we need to, and I quote, create sustainable programs rather than short-term profit-making industries. That means no to Vulcan.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
That's all the speaker cards I have. Does anybody else like to address the council? Seeing no movement, I will declare the call to the public closed and move on to council member and town manager brief summary of current events. Diane, do you have anything?
I want to congratulate Park and Recs for an awesome Fiesta Sahuarita. It was the best that I've been to so far, so thank you so much. Well done.
Thank you. Dr. Gillespie?
I want to echo and add on to that. I was at the Fiesta on Saturday all day long. You can tell by my sunburn up here.
I could lend you my suntan lotion that I use.
You know, it's, believe it or not, I used to have a head full of hair. I used to be really proud of my hair in high school, but God wanted to humble me some.
That's right.
So I need to get used to wearing hats. But it was just a fantastic event. There's hundreds of vendors, there's thousands of residents there. And it took a lot to put it all together, but Parks and Rec, they really knocked it out of the park. And from the activities for the kids, the rides that they could go on, the great food that was there, I was amazed that Parks and Rec was able to coordinate with SpaceX. They had the rocket launch right before the drone show.
That's right.
You
You didn't know I had Elon on a speed dial?
Right.
I do.
But the drone show itself was so amazing to watch and see that. Anyways, fantastic event. Great job, Parks and Rec.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I thought,
That's worth a clap.
I just wanted to quickly add to that, to the Parks and Rec. I had several students that had like booths selling things, and I love the idea that that's where Fiesta has gotten to, that it's not just big, we love all of the vendors, but I love the fact that our local youth are looking at opportunities to be a part of Fiesta and to sell their crafts or their activities or whatever they're doing. I was just really impressed by how many youth were involved in the vendoring of it. So I just wanted to point that out. Thank you very much for making it welcoming to even the youth.
Thank you. Bill? No? Debbie? No. I just had a couple of things. First, I wanted to congratulate our deputy town clerk on receiving her bachelor's degree today in business administration. Second, I certainly wanted to echo Fiesta. As the vice mayor said, our Grow in Sahuarita program, is typically thought of as adults, but these were young entrepreneurs that got involved in that. My friend Elon Musk, I appreciate him getting SpaceX just before the drone show, so that was really nice. The drone show was obviously awesome, and you could hear kids, and I've received texts about this, that when they went to their parents to please ask for a little bit of money to go on the rides, the parents got to say the rides are free. So we really wanted to send our appreciation to Park and Rec and our sponsors that make that possible, obviously. And also, leading up to it, the American flag and the Fiesta Sahuarita banners takes a lot of work between our Boy Scouts and our streets department to make that happen. I really appreciate that. And also, the recent striping up by the intersection on Sahuarita Road and Rancho Sahuarita Boulevard, as well as weed control, which is my personal bugaboo. I hate weeds. I don't want to look like Tucson. So really appreciate our Park and Rec and Public Works Department for all that they do. And at this time, I'll move to Mr. Dilly on a brief summary of events. And as a reminder, May 13th, 2024 is our next meeting. Shane?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I too would be remiss if I didn't join your voices in shouting accolades out at our Parks and Rec group. And it's not just our Parks and Rec team, which is, bar none, the best in the state for sure. But there's a litany of volunteer groups that lifted and made it all happen. And it takes a lot of coordination by our Parks and Rec team under Devin's leadership. So it's good to just be part of the family of Sahuarita, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
This is perfect. So thank you, Parks and Rec. I also wanted to note that on your desk, you'll see a packet of material. Looks like this. I wanted to just take a moment, Mayor and Council, to walk you through. This is the packet. Although it's going to look like this when it gets to our delegates in DC. But this is the material that we are going to be providing each office that we visit. The mayor and I had an opportunity with Councilmember Morales to review the itinerary for the next several days, and we're going to be walking our rear ends off.
And our feet.
And our feet. Bob Holmes and Anna May have us extremely busy, so we're looking forward to it. But the front page in here, it really, under federal agenda, talks about the litany of projects that we are seeking federal support on. The first project is the FUDS project out here to get that area mitigated as quickly as possible. Of course, there's, at least right now, we're not aware of a dollar being the solution for this, but certainly need political support. And I know that there's been ongoing conversations between the Army Corps of Engineers and Nexus Consulting on a path forward. And so certainly excited to hear what that has in store for it in terms of these conversations that we're going to have. And then underneath there, you'll see other projects, the La Valita Road extension and mitigation. The mitigation part is making it kind of an all-weather crossing road and connecting it so it's not a dead end, and it's more of an alternative north-south solution for our community. That project doesn't qualify for congressional designated spending because it's a larger amount, so we're seeking a raised grant for that. Very competitive grant. And oftentimes, it's not your first attempt, but several down the road before you get it. But you're never going to get there unless you apply. And so we're really pushing hard for this one. It's got a hefty price tag of upwards of about 30. What was the price tag? I'm sorry.
Pretty hefty. We'll stay with hefty.
35 million, so it's a big one. And then underneath there, we got congressionally directed spending, and those pots of money are between 1 million and 5 million. That's a sweet spot for these types of applications. And so we got a number of different projects in there. We've got the inclusive playground at the recently acquired community center there at La Valita. We've got intersection improvements at the high school on Sahuarita Road. That's the Walden intersection. We've got upgrades to odor control and air management systems at our wastewater treatment facility. That equipment's 15 years old and due for an upgrade. We also have a project to fence the recharge basin next to the Anza Trail. Lots of bird watchers and trail enthusiasts that frequent that path, and we just want to make sure it's safe for the public. And then we've got a request to replace about 70 of our radios for our police department. Those radios are extremely expensive, and so a little federal help there will never turn our attention away from that. So, and then we're putting our congressional delegation on notice that we've got a couple of other projects that we just want to give them a heads up on, that we're going to be looking for support down the road. But the second page really talks about the celebration of what Sahuarita is all about, our successes. And I think it's really an exciting story to tell, and I'm looking forward to Mayor joining you and Councilmember Morales in representing the community on these events. I just wanted to make sure that the council was well informed in terms of what this agenda looks like and what we're planning to say and do, and to answer any questions that you might have about that trip.
Thank you. Any questions for Shane at this time? Thanks. And just to piggyback, we did a lot of thank yous on Sahuarita, Fiesta Sahuarita, but having Aaron here and the Park and Rec commissioners, that's where sort of these ideas start and that support starts before it comes to us. So please pass on to all the commissioners how much we appreciate. We're going to double your salary next year, so you'll be really happy about that on there. So.
Mayor, I have one more item.
Yes.
Just real quick, just a reminder, we've got our council budget retreat.
Yep.
That's scheduled for April 23rd and 24th. I hope you're all excited. We're working feverishly to get across the finish line on that. So patience on the packet, but we're working hard on it. Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next, move to the item number 8, which is the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion at this time.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda is approved unanimously. And we come to item number 9, Madam Clerk.
Discussion and possible adoption of ordinance number 2024-173, amending Title II, Administration and Personnel, by amending Chapter 2.20, Town Officers and Employees, by amending Section 2.20.020, Town Officers, to include the Assistant Town Manager as an officer of the town, providing for the repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and establishing an effective date.
Thank you. Mr. Dilly will be handling this. I would say categorize this more as a cleanup item. We already do have a assistant town manager.
Classic example of policy catch-up, town code catch-up. The organization has moved beyond the parameters of the code in the sense that we need operationally to have this leadership oversight that's being provided through having an assistant town manager position. The position's been in place for many years at this point, and we recognize that the town code hasn't kept pace with the organizational need. This language in front of you, by way of ordinance, would amend the town code and name the assistant town manager as an officer of the town, so that in the absence of the town manager, you have somebody that can actually take care of business. For the town.
Right, be officially conducting business, I would say, right?
We have other officers, but in the code, you'll see that, but the assistant town manager position is not currently named, and this would amend that to reflect that change.
Right, great, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Dilly? If not, I'll entertain a motion at this time. Yes.
So I move to adopt ordinance 2024-173, revising Title II of the Town Code.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Madam Clerk, item number 10.
Discussion and possible adoption of resolution number 2024-0777, establishing the maximum purchase amount authority of the town manager for the purchase and sale of goods and services for and on behalf of the town.
Thank you. Not that I'm not forgetful, but it says Mr. Mariotti, and I know that's not Mr. Mariotti. So, Mr. Garcia, thank you for being here this evening, and I'm assuming you're launching with this presentation.
Yes, sir. I am.
Okay, please proceed.
Yes. Honorable Mayor and Council, town staff, it's good to see you all again. A couple months ago, we presented a high-level review of the town's procurement process. At the retreat, we addressed a concern presented in a past meeting related to the ability to purchase goods and services efficiently. Tonight, I thank you for the opportunity to present solutions. We will roll through our current policies, specifically the manager's authority, and identify options that will streamline our purchasing workflow while maintaining procedural oversight and transparency. So with that, I have a short presentation. Mr. Mariotti is here, so we can defer to him as necessary. So our objectives and opportunities tonight that we're kind of going to look at are increasing efficiencies, providing a manager's authority increase. We're going to look at three options that the council will then hopefully come with a recommendation in terms of moving forward. In this efficiency increase, we are maintaining our transparency. We're also maintaining excellence in stewardship. Town Code Title 315 identifies council approval when required. It also addresses the manager's authority. Our policies and procedures are more specific in terms of amounts, but this is the foundation of our procurement and purchasing. Currently, our procurement thresholds for the town manager are limited to up to $50,000. So any purchase contract that we need to process, you see that in usually a consent agenda or on account during a council meeting. We are looking to make that more efficient. We looked at our first concern was brought up at a meeting regarding purchasing vehicles for the police department. There had been issues in trying to buying vehicles, and those vehicles are very expensive for the town. So there are options available to us through co-ops. We'll just touch on shortly in a minute. But this whole solution is looking at addressing that as well as other issues that we have within the town in our purchasing policies. We looked at comparator thresholds. At the state of Arizona, city of Tucson, Marana, Oro Valley, Sierra Vista, many of their purchase thresholds are at 100,000 or above, and those are considered small purchases. So we are a little bit behind, and we're trying to get up to speed at a minimum to that. We also looked at Sierra Vista, where they have a tiered approach at addressing purchasing. So that's going to play into some of the options that you'll be looking at. So some of the proposed options that we're looking at is increasing that manager's authority to either 100,000 or up to 500,000, with a caveat of some cooperative purchasing agreements that we have in place, as well as maybe a tiered approach. And so you would see on a regular basis only those big purchases. What we've also discussed was there will be items that will be at the manager's discretion or at the council's discretion that you may want to see that are within that threshold that would still come to council. So we have a log jam here. Many years ago when I started my first boss talked about key logs. And he said, when there's a log jam, there's these guys that go out there and they find the one log that they can break the jam with, and then it gets everything flowing. So everything that we approach in terms of small purchases, in terms of things we do in the town, at a small level up to a big level, is always trying to look ahead to find the key logs that are going to help us to roll efficiently and then produce mighty events like Parks did with Fiesta Sarita. So option 1 is simply changing the manager's authority from 50,000 to 100,000. And that would be for all purchases that fall within that range. Our second option would be changing again from 50 to 100,000 in general, but on specific items like vehicle purchases, we'd increase that amount to 500,000. There would be a provision that says in order to do that, we'd have to procure it with a cooperative purchasing arrangement. So that means all of the procurement has been satisfied.
Would you just, for the sake of the public and our council, just reiterate what cooperative purchase means? Thank you.
Absolutely. So cooperative purchasing is a purchasing agreement and or other entities that we connect with in the state, in our region, even at the national level, where the procurement process has already been vetted. So they put out a request for a certain product or service, as we would do in a solicitation, and then they choose either qualified vendors or pricing of certain goods and services, and they do all of the due diligence to get into a contract. So if the state of Arizona has a contract with, let's say, Dell, they've done all of the vetting and purchasing procurement process to get that contract in place. We're able, with our contract, co-op contract, then to connect to that contract with the state and then procure our specific needs with pre-stated, usually discounted pricing. And then we also do our own vetting of the vendor, making sure that all of their insurances and so forth are up to date and current before we go into our own contract. Now that helps us to satisfy that procurement process. So we're kind of upping the review when we have a co-op purchasing agreement.
Tommy, on that, is it just, I don't know if this is a good example, but if Marana is purchasing 5 police cars and then we piggyback off of that, is it a requirement that the state or another entity that we're friends with are already ordering, or because they've already vetted it, we could do 5 on our own and not have to piggyback off of a purchase that they're doing or not?
Usually it depends on the contract that they entered into. If they have a section that identifies that a co-op can be shared with that contract, then we can utilize that. For example, Marana, City of Tucson, Flagstaff, some of these other ones, they have language in that contract that allows us to piggyback on that. There's also organizations out there like 1GPA, Omnia, some of these other private organizations that they go and do the vetting, and through their process, they have all of the due diligence and the contract language that allows us to then piggyback on that contract. So we're more looking for a contract that has goods and services that we can utilize.
Right.
We still do, like I said, every contract that comes through our office, across my desk, goes across John's desk for legal review. Right. So even if it's a standard kind of boilerplate thing, he sees everything as well. So we don't skip on the process.
Right, any steps.
Yeah, so all the steps that we're going to continue to do, budget review, manager oversight, legal review, all of that maintains the same, where the threshold is what we're looking at today in terms of what's going to be increasing.
Thanks. Shane and then Councilman Priol. Shane?
Yeah, so just Thank you, Tommy, appreciate that. In short, the cooperative, so what's being presented here is under option 2, in general, the threshold would increase from 50,000 to 100,000. We saw that that's comparative to what Marana and Oro Valley is doing right now. And in large part, it's to address a lot of the inflationary costs that we're seeing that are hitting all of our purchases. So it has an efficiency outcome to it that we can process things a lot quicker. The second option here, or not the second option, but the second bullet under option 2 would be to increase from 50,000 to 500,000 for specific items. But in order to trigger that, we'd have to be piggybacking off of a cooperative purchase. And what that does for us is, again, under efficiency, it allows us to skip the RFP portion and get the 3 quotes type thing, and allowing us to use what another agency has done here in the state. They've already gone out and done that RFP, or they've gone out and gotten those quotes. They've taken that step and put that time in. And if their contract says that they will allow cooperative agreements, then we can piggyback on that and benefit from that exercise so that we don't have to take time to do that.
Thank you. Diane first, then Bill. Diane.
Could you give us more examples besides vehicle purchases?
There's also professional services. I believe it's Casa Grande or Servista. They have a tiered approach where professional services like engineering service, architectural services, where you have a license, professional license to do business. Those types of services are some that are utilized. Those are also under cooperative. So a lot of times, just because it falls under the professional service threshold, we still look for cooperatives to help us kind of really vet those types of services. Other things that we do small construction projects. We do job order contracts. So a lot of the street work, we do cooperatives where we'll go with the city of Tucson, and $1.5 million per contractor, though we may not use $1.5 million per contractor in a year, so that we can kind of have an on-call street service to come, as small as potholes to resurfacing, intersection improvements, striping, as we've seen out here. So those amounts are going to be in the larger range. Again, sometimes those will still want to come to council for something if we're doing a project like at the park with the splash pad, for example. If that's going to be in a level where you want to see that still would come through this process. So as Shane mentioned, when we go out to solicitation, that takes an effort to get there, and then go to advertisement, which we still are going to do that, and we still have that in our back pocket. But is there any other kind of questions related to that specifically?
Yes, what's the trigger for it to come to the council?
It depends on what we vote on what's going to actually come to us. So I know there's a tiered approach. Tommy, I think that's one of them, Sierra Vista. It might be 100 for the manager for general, could be professional services, 250, and it could be vehicle purchases. It's just really however we formulate it, right?
Right.
And vote on it.
This really is your policy.
Yeah.
Right.
We're bringing this to you in response to a discussion we had back in January with you guys.
During the budget retreat, right?
During the budget retreat. And so I think we've got one more option to share.
Yeah, maybe you'll go to Councilmember Rocco first. And then
Yeah, real quick. The cooperative purchase thing, to me, that's a canard for this entire argument. That is already an efficiency built in. It's a vehicle, it's a mechanism for spending money. What we're looking at here is giving one individual the authority to spend, in this case, upwards of $500,000 without any approval. We can delegate the authority, but we can't delegate the responsibility. And I'm not sure I want to have any single individual being able to spend $500,000.
And if I could just piggyback off of that, when these come up during the year, is it for purchases that we already have budget capacity for? We just haven't got to the contract portion of it. So I just wanted a little clarity
Yes,
on that.
To Councilmember Bracco. So, for example, the vehicle purchases. You've already approved, or we're looking at approving close to $1 million in purchases just for the police department this year. So you will have reviewed that process specifically for vehicles for the police department at the tune of $900,000+ for the year. This is actually moving into contracting to make that purchase. So there is a review initially at the council level at the budget standpoint. The specifics is what we handle at the contract.
And I think what came up out of that was it was really difficult to find these, or the opportunity to find them was really quick. And I think during that last budget retreat, that was one of the examples of if it had to come back to us to kind of pull the trigger, it might have been a lost opportunity, but correct me if I'm wrong. And now I see Mr. Mariano.
Well, before AC jumps in, I just want to clarify, the in general is the $100,000. The second bullet really is a more surgical approach to certain things, like what we experience with the vehicles, that is a reaction to comments from the council. Can't we be more flexible so that we don't run the risk of losing something? So it really is tailored to what the council feels comfortable with, not necessarily what staff is saying has to be. And then the language that's in front of you really is specific to vehicles. I mean, that's the only thing mentioned in the language in front of you is really specific to vehicles right now.
We already approved that.
Well, we approved
We approved them, but.
in the budget to do it.
No. We approved that they could go ahead and pull the trigger on that if they can get a vehicle. We approved that execution because it was so hard for the timing. They had to find it and then buy it right away.
Right.
And we approved that process.
Right.
No. You approved that one purchase. That was a single incident, but we anticipate that that's going to be.
It was a multiple vehicle purchase.
But it's just this year. And so, we're anticipating, because of the nature of the market and the competition with other police agencies, that we need to be more flexible when these opportunities come up to be able to pull the trigger. And that's where this language came from.
And when is the next time you're going to spend $1 million on vehicles?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, pretty much annually.
Annually.
It's going to come up.
Annually.
Yeah, annually. So what's the problem with approving that annually while we have this economic condition that may go away in a year, 2 years, or 3 years?
It's council's prerogative, for sure.
Right.
Just keep in mind that this process is really about who we use to provide the goods or services. The budget says what we can spend our money on and how much we can spend on that particular element. So for vehicles, we may have $1 million vehicle budget. That's laid out in the budget process. The procurement process is determining which vendor we're going to buy the vehicles from, and that's what we're talking about.
But that's going through one of the cooperative purchase agreements, a contract that's already in existence.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, that is correct, but that we still can't just go and execute that without your authorization of giving us that authority, and that's what we're asking for here. Any purchase over $50,000, regardless if it's in the budget or not, right, has to come back to council for authorization. It's that very process that is time-consuming. So we're trying to speed that process up by getting pre-authorization under certain conditions to not have to bring the item back to council, but just execute it on a managerial level.
Right. Bill, would it make you more comfortable if this was approved, but at the very next council meeting, whatever the strategies were, that they had to come back and report to the council that this was done?
No.
No? Okay.
No. We're responsible for for the budget AC puts together. We're responsible to manage that budget.
Right.
Okay? And I am not comfortable having any one individual be able to spend $500,000, period.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a quick
Yep,
question?
I've been here for 13 years, and it's never been an issue before.
Right. But I think that at the last budget retreat, it's because of this unique circumstance when it comes to the cars.
And then I have no problem doing an exception with the cars, and that's what we did last time.
Right.
And we can do that again.
But I think, well, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, it was not an exception. That was the process. we came to you and we said we need to buy vehicles, and you authorized the vehicle purchase. But in that effort, the chief was explaining how much time we lost in finding a vendor that had vehicles we could buy, because there were several times where they were trying to procure a vehicle, but because we had to come back to council to get authorization, the vehicles were bought out from under us.
Mr.
Right.
Mayor, can I just ask a clarifying question?
Yep, but Diane had her hand up first. Let me go to Diane, then I'll go to you.
Yeah, I also feel some hesitancy about giving authority for $500,000. And if I'm reading that correctly, it says starting with vehicle purchases. It doesn't say just for vehicle purchases.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, there is a list that's an appendix to this particular option that provides which items would fall under this category, and on that list is just vehicles.
That's it.
Because this is the scenario, this is, the impetus for this whole discussion was the purchase of the PD vehicles.
Right.
Now, the third option is much more, has a lot more leeway. It's $500,000.
I think
for
at this
any type
point,
of
we can
purchase.
probably move past that one based on this discussion, just to save Tommy some time. That's just my opinion, but Vice Mayor?
No, I have two questions. For you to add, I love the idea that it's just vehicles that's only on this list right now. For it to be added, would you come to the council and be like, we're now going to add this item? Okay, so this, you guys don't get to just add anything. Every time you need this, you have to come to us to add another opportunity, like another listed item that's allowed, correct?
Mayor and council, you're the only body authorized to amend this policy, so I have to come to you.
And then my second question, and I'm pretty sure I understand, I just want to clarify it. We have a budget. Let's say the budget is $1 million, that's the number we've been throwing around, for vehicles. The chief knows he has that amount, right? He can't take other money from other parts of his pots of money and put it into there and try to spend the money outside of, like, we already as a council have already budgeted. Chief, go spend $1 million on cars. I hate that number. But let's go, you are allowed to do that. All this is saying is you don't need to come back to us to give approval that he can do that.
Well, he's going to spend his money on cars. We're talking about, are we buying Fords? Are we buying Chevys? Is it Phil Long Ford, or is it the Ford dealership?
Okay, I don't care.
In
I don't care. Chief,
This
Chief's
is
already
about
been-
who provides us the goods or services.
Yeah.
That's what procurement does.
I've already told the chief he can buy the money, buy his cars with that money. I don't care where he buys the cars. I don't need to be in the middle of that. For cars, I'm totally okay with option 2.
And to piggyback off of that, it would have to be through a cooperative agreement that was, if it was option.
Under bullet 2, in order for that to be used, that tool to be used, it'd have to be through a cooperative agreement.
Right, just like it happened before. Diane?
Are other jurisdictions doing option number 2?
I think some are probably going as wide as 3.
Yes, Cervista is. And they're the tiered approach, so they have a $250,000 limit for certain purchases, and then they have a $500,000 purchase. Those are the ones that I'm aware of. So, and they're doing that. They've been doing that for a bit, yeah.
And I don't know, AC, you could tell me if I'm wrong or right, and because maybe they had those in place, it's probably some of the reason that those vehicles got bought out from under us, I'm assuming, because they had a little more speed to be able to go get those vehicles. Is that would be a good assumption? Or
Mr.
maybe
Mayor,
not?
members of the council, I'm not sure I know the impetus behind Sierra Vista's tiered approach, but it's probably something along those lines, I would
Right.
imagine.
No, I was actually thinking of the ones that we had trouble getting last time. Probably other municipalities might have had the quicker authority, I guess you would say, and had the ability. Tommy?
We don't know for sure, but I believe that usually the smaller jurisdictions are going to be put in second place when you're competing with state of Arizona, city of Tucson, Pima County that have larger purchases.
Right.
So if they have a need, usually they're going to get bumped in front. So this gives you hopefully a little bit of flexibility for us to move in quick, get a
Right.
smaller purchase,
And piggyback
5
off
vehicles,
of that.
and then be ready to go, kind of at a moment's notice. Within all of the requirements that we still have.
Right. Yep, Bill?
even if we put that second one in 50,000 to 500,000, we had an authorization of $1 million. It would have still had to come back to us.
I'm sorry, I got
For the,
lost on
for
that.
the police vehicles, it was authorized at $1 million. They would still have to come back because it exceeds the $500,000 threshold.
Budget, so you can buy 2 vehicles. I was saying that you can't buy more than what you already budgeted. It's already approved the budget.
No, what I'm saying is that if the budget
it's
was at $1 million,
900,000.
yeah, it was 900,000, it would have still had to come back even if we had had that approved.
Yeah, so, yeah, I do too, because if we had, if we budgeted for 900,000 and we approve option number 2, and they found a cooperative agreement for 700,000 to package them and buy them, they wouldn't be able to operate under this. They'd still have to come back to us first.
My conversation was that he can't go and spend more money than we've already budgeted him for. That's why I'm feel completely safe with allowing them to purchase the vehicles. We give them a budget, spend the budget. I don't care where you spend the budget at. Just buy us the vehicles when you need a vehicle, get a vehicle. They shouldn't have to go through all these hoops.
I'll remember that when I see the Corvette sports car with the police logo on it.
Mr. Mayor. That's the mayor's.
You know what?
I'm sorry, that's the mayor's.
If he
sports
bought
car.
it under this agreement, I wouldn't know what car it is.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I move to adopt resolution 2024-0777, option 2.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion on this? If not, I'll call for the question. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay. So we've got 6 yeas and 1 nay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, item number 11.
Discussion and update regarding the collaborative planning efforts of Pima County and the town of Sahuarita to construct a joint regional wastewater reclamation facility.
Thank you. And I have down, Nalo will be presenting this, but as big of a presence as Nalo is, I don't see him. Oh, there he comes through the doorway. So Nalo Nalavale is our Public Works Director and will be presenting this item. You were just watching us from afar, huh?
Yes. Good evening, Mayor Murphy, members of the council. Thank you for the opportunity to present. So this item right here is basically just a heads up that we've been in discussion with the county on building a regional facility to help out with the treatment of the wastewater within the Sahuarita area and also unincorporated Pima County. I believe in 2023, we assigned an MOU for us to go into planning with the county. The county went on ahead and they hired Carollo engineers to come in and help out with the design, looking at the area where the regional facility is going to be. And we had received communication from the county that they've decided to go ahead and rehired Carollo engineers again to actually come up with a design. And that totals to $250,000. The IGA is for the town to pay for $125,000 of that total. And that's, just want to give you guys a heads up on that.
Thank you. And this is an informational item only on, as I was communicating with the town manager, and he's trying to keep us in the loop as this process rolls out, so to speak. Shane, did you want to piggyback off any of those comments?
Yeah, I think the bulk of the 250,000 split 50-50 between the county and the town, resulting in our 125,000 allocation, is primarily focused on helping the two of us develop an IGA. I have to believe that the actual design of that facility is going to cost a lot more than 250,000.
I think that's probably a safe bet, but I think it's done in sort of steps.
Yeah,
and
so
this is the first
we
step
start
on-
this whole process through the creation of an IGA that undoubtedly is going to take a number of renditions. So you'll have the starting IGA, and then as we grow and develop this and what it looks like, we might have a bit of a path of IGAs before we hit a master IGA.
Right.
But that's what this work is doing. We gave the county, about a year ago, we entered into an MOU with them and said, hey, we need the county to make a decision on what they're going to do within a year's time. And they've certainly honored that MOU with coming to a conclusion that their best path forward is this regional treatment plant facility. That coincides with a very plausible path for the town, because we know that by the year 2033, roughly, our current plant is expected to be at capacity. And we know that we have to have a solution in place for that when we hit there, and not start thinking about it when we hit there. And really to have a plant in place by then, it's going to take, I would say 6 to 7 years to really get there. So we have to start that process with an IGA, and I think that's what this is
Right,
doing.
and not only on the capacity, but, if we're looking going east and other projects that are on our plate, such as the zoo, the safari, and other types of developments, that has to be in place for a lot of these things to, and I know the council has expressed, desire before when we were talking about working with the county, so thanks for mentioning that. We're going to have other bites of this apple, because I think it was the desire of the council to make sure we had an ironclad final agreement, that we had that capacity protected as we continue to move forward. But this is just kind of the first step or second step probably now on having that ability.
I'm hoping it's a big step, and your staff is well aware that the devil's going to be in the details on this.
That's what
We have a great partnership in terms of the dialogue and the collaboration between the town staff and county staff. So we're hoping that that's going to be a very productive and fruitful discussion and venture. But those details are really important. We want to make sure that the IGA is such that not only are our needs met today, but our needs and interests are served through that for years to come. And
Right,
so
and protected.
it'll be a complicated IGA, no doubt, but I'm confident, because we've got examples of this type of working relationship up in the valley. I know that Mesa, Queen Creek, and Gilbert went into a regional agreement for a joint facility, much like what we're proposing here, and it seems to be working very well.
Sure, and I'm guessing from economies of scale, having one, regional one, as opposed to 5, make it up, probably gives not only economies of scale, but also kind of hems it in on where it would be. And
We'll want to make sure that we're protecting our effluent, that we
Right.
have, we have
Capacity.
appropriate say at the decision-making table,
That's-
operations, material.
And that
everything.
is the critical piece, because they can control your future growth if you don't have first right of refusal.
Right.
So, yeah.
And
ironclad. And it's going to need to grow with us. I mean, out the gate, the county's probably going to be the bigger need, because they've got a number of different plants that are going to be feeding into this. We're going to have one plant. But as we grow, that relationship needs to change, and this IGA, or the contract that we have, needs to allow that change to happen, so that we can make sure that we're protecting our future.
Right. That's why he brought it to us. Everybody, just as an information, and kind of get a check-in on it. Everybody good? Good? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Having no more further business, we're adjourned. Thank you for being here, and the few that stayed.